So I've researched a lot for this video, and I'm going to show 4 main things that I learned from mixing Drake's voice, and I used Hotline Bling as an example here.
Late night when you need my love, call me on my cell phone. Late night when you need my love, and I know when that.
And this was the chance that we took. You know, Drake deals with realities, and as an engineer, sometimes you forget about your realities and think about what you know. Oh, you can't do that. Oh, you can't do that. You can't turn 24 dB up at 10K. No way. You can't do that. Well, you can.
You need to compensate for the high end with brightening your vocals. Brighten above 10K, I use Slick EQ like this.
Late night when you need my love. Late night when you need my love.
By the way, I've recorded in Soundtrap, put it in Audacity, mixing with Audacity with free plugins, and I'll link all of them below. Well, there's one more thing about brightness that we haven't necessarily dived into yet, and it's this thing that's pretty scientific called the Fletcher-Munson curve. The Fletcher-Munson curve shows how much we hear different frequencies on the frequency spectrum. So the highest numbers on this graph perceive what we think of as the loudest sounds when we hear them. And the low numbers on the graph represent the lowest frequencies that we perceive as volume-wise when we hear them back naturally. Because of this dip in the bass and high frequencies, we want to boost those back so everything appears at the same level again. When you hear engineers talking about tonal balance a lot, this is what they mean. So to achieve good tonal balance, the main thing that you need to do with your vocals is brighten that section up. A big part in this stuff is the actual notes that Drake is singing when he's rapping.
I guess there was a little bit.
There was, and that was actually on Drake's part a change in rap music. He sang that song.
You're right.
The whole thing.
Right.
It's all melody based,
Right.
distinctly. Every single word is
Right.
distinctly between the 3 notes of that melody. And nobody was doing that in rap at that stage, you know? That was really early, and that was a chance for us too. Are people gonna judge you for this? You're singing.
Right.
And nobody noticed. Because of the way he delivered it.
So a big part in sounding like Drake is getting this locked in because he basically invented singing while rapping. Okay, not obviously Drake didn't invent singing while rapping. A bunch of people had done it before, but man, I made a list right here. Everybody from this time. Drake did this in 2010, Future, Migos, people like Gunna, Nav, Yachty, 21 especially, Uzi especially, and then like Kendrick is on a whole nother level with it. All do this melodic rap. It's all notes. It's not even just, you know, there's still some people like Denzel Curry maybe who like don't do something like that, but everything is melody based, and most likely if you have a flow in your head, that's what it is. You could go in with like M Auto Pitch, or you could go into the Soundtrap free trial, Antari's Auto Tune, and put it on some light settings so you lock on pitch. Noah says here, 40, that he is going with probably Antari's Auto Tune on Drake's voice here.
Pitch is pretty good to begin with.
Well, I used auto-tune on this song. Come on, Dave.
Let's Legibility is the next big thing when sounding like Drake. This is an interplay between performance and engineering that you really need to lock in to sound like him.
And I wanted Drake to be audible. One of my problems with rap music is when you couldn't understand it. And my mother is a theater actress, and my family are all performers. So I grew up in a house of, you know, filmmakers and performers and actors. My mother would always say to me when I was working with my rap crew when I was 16, "Oh, I love it. This is amazing, though. But I can't understand a word. Just say it." She would always make that point to me. And so I took it upon myself to make that a priority in the music that I was making, to make it audible. Drake, for instance, happens to be a very articulate and well-spoken individual who delivers things that are very audible and people can understand. But it is important, you know, because sometimes it's a feeling, but like, you know, you want a message if you're going to really impact somebody's.
All right, so I don't like a little bit of that because he's an articulate individual, and that is not how I like music a lot of the time. There's a bunch of music that I like where I know that it's not like every consonant is right, but it sounds cool and I want to make it more clean. So here's a tip to sound more legible without sacrificing or thinking about it when you're performing. There are 2 main ways to get legibility, and one is to EQ around 10K like we already have gone over, and the second one is to make sure the 2500 and 1500 region is present in the vocal. And besides just boosting 10K, which is going to do a lot for legibility, I put this multi multiband compressor on called Nova, because that really helps in this specific way. This is something that really sounded like the Hotline Bling vocal when I first put it on. It's putting this mid-range up front and in your face in the vocal. Here's it with and without it.
Late night when you need my love. Late night when you need my love.
What it's doing is actually just a compressor for a certain frequency band. So you have all the similar compressing settings for a certain band on your EQ. And the last thing is just kind of like interest.
To distinguish yourself from the pack and to make it all musical and to make the song better. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to amplify the energy in the song.
What he's doing in this video is modulating or changing the pitch at a certain rate for the song continuously and making that kind of like a doubled version of the original. Basically just like Post Malone it. And you don't gotta go super heavy, but it totally adds interest to the vocal, and it doesn't do it specifically on Drake's thing, but like you do not want to have these like dead flat notes. Listen to this guitar line without any vibrato and then with. So that bending and changing of notes that's kind of in between the dead center pitch is what gives the voice and the energy something interesting, especially when it's lead instruments that are taking the center. Let me show you this line in Hotline Bling that I sustained for a second with and without this vibrato plugin on.
Late night when you need my love. Late night when you need my love. Need my love.
I like the vibrato one so much better, and that's something that Drake doesn't have necessarily in this vocal. He doesn't have a vibrato with these settings in this setting, but it totally makes me sound better, which is the point of this whole video. You don't want to imitate Drake. You want to sound the best that you can and learn from Drake. By the way, it's pretty funny. I don't sound like Drake, I don't think, too much. Let's just take a break for a second, because like I go like dang this one line. I really think it's like it does not sound like Drake. It's kind of embarrassing, but like the mixing is there, you know. But like just my original voice, right, has this weird little timbre to it.
That can only mean one thing.
It's kind of embarrassing, but like now we have two more main reverb tracks that we haven't talked about yet. The entire time we've been talking about the main vocal track, which is the best part, but once you have that, duplicate it 2 more times. I have 2 different effects tracks that I did that really added up to something nice. The 2 chains look the same because they have an auto tune and 2 instances of Supermassive, but they could not be more different sounding. The first one here is for the width of the main vocal. It's going to have the main vocal go into an auto tune as always, then into an ozone for the width, and then for a very tight delay sound that echoes very fast in the Supermassive, 110 milliseconds right here, and then go into the small room wide reverb, which is the one that I used for this song. This has just the main vocal coming through. It's also dipped off in the EQ over here, so make sure you pay attention to the settings, and it's really a dark width, so the vocal's right here, and then you have it coming at you around the sides, just kind of hugging you just like that. The second right here is like the main reverb and delay that you hear for the track. You'll go into an auto pitcher first, then you'll go into a quarter note delay into Supermassive, and then you'll go into your reverb, the same reverb that was for the other one. Layer these at the volume that you want with these settings to the main vocal track. It is exactly what I did in this project, so make sure you have the exact levels right of all of them, along with leveling it out with the beat. That's a huge part of making it sound good, and you're all set. If I missed anything here, leave a like and comment down below. I really appreciate you guys just watching though. I will see you in the next one. That's pretty much it. Peace.